Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video. You know, I thought I'd spend the afternoon trying to get my switch panel, my Logitech Switch Panel working. I've often had questions about it. Couldn't get it working with the Logitech driver, so I thought I would go back to a program I used years ago, Spad.neXt. That's what this video's about. I'm going to get my Logitech Switch Panel working with Spad.neXt. This video is also an introduction to Spad.neXt. Let me just give you a quick demonstration here. I'll bring in the camera. There we go, you can see my switch panel in front of me. Now, here's a gear handle. Let me just raise the gear. Notice the LEDs as well. These should extinguish in a moment. Once the gear's raised, the nose gear's raised, so that's extinguished. Those two. Put it back down, it'll go red until it goes green, until it's fully down. Look at that. And you can configure all this with Spad.neXt. It's only for PC. You can only use this on PC as well, by the way. What's that? Alternator and battery? They're just down here, by the way. Watch the switches. Oh, I've turned everything off there. Let's turn it back on. I've got no autopilot. Yeah, set it up now. Everything's got to restart the screens. Get the idea. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of Spad.neXt, what it can do with the switch panel, just as an example. In later videos, I want to come back to this to show you more advanced settings that you can do with Spad.neXt. My goodness me, I've forgotten how good it was. Let's not dilly-dally. Let's get on with this video. So Spad.neXt, what is it and where do you get it from? Let's give you a quick overview of this first. Well, if you go on the internet here, I'm going to link this down below. You can download Spad.neXt here and it will give you 14 days trial of the actual version, you know, of the complete edition, essentially. 14 days trial. After 14 days, you can go and buy it. If you click on buy, it will open this tab. And if you're just using it for Flight Sim 2024 or Flight Sim X or Prepared 3D, it's about $24, about £22, 20 to £22. I don't actually have it myself. I used it in the past. I think I used the trial years ago. It was a different Spad.neXt, an old version of it. I've got an old video, which I'll link that down below in the description, just in case you can go and compare. If you're just using Flight Sim 2024, you just need this edition. If you want a complete edition, you want to use it with X-Plane, Prepared 3D, you know, all of these as well, then you would need to buy this edition, which I don't think most people would need to buy. Or you've got the professional edition. I don't know what that's for. That's for commercial use. Obviously, if you're using it in simulators, commercial simulators, I expect that type of thing. If you don't want a Flight Sim edition, you can go for the X-Plane edition. I'm not quite sure. I have to look on more than that, why that is so much more expensive. But there you go. This would be the version that you would typically buy after the 14 days. I'll certainly be doing that. Once you have it, you just run it. First thing you'll get, let's get to the settings. You'll get a config wizard. You'll get this wizard come up. This is the first thing. And it's simple. You just start by saying, are you running the simulation and Spad.neXt on the same computer or on different computers, remote, networked? Whichever you're running, I'll do this. I'm running it on the same computer, so I'll start wizard. There you go. It'll tell you after 14 days. I've got so many days left off this. Well, I've got the 14 days at the moment. A license will be required. That's where you'll have to pay for it. And I'll be primarily using it with Flight Sim 2024. So like I showed you before, the €25 option would be the best one. Go to next step. Now it'll say there, SimConnect is needed to communicate to Flight Sim 2020 and 2024, that type of thing. It's native with Flight Sim 2024, so connect to a simulator running on this computer. Probably the same for most people. If you're running it on a different computer, you would choose that one. That would be a more complex setup. Or don't use SimConnect. I don't think that's a good option. So connect to simulator running on this computer using SimConnect, which is there by default. If you've got Flight Sim running, I've got it running in the background. I'm just parked at Manchester at the moment. You can click on Test Connection, and it will say connection successful if you're running Flight Sim, SimConnect, and goodness knows what. There you go. So we'll go to the next step. All very simple stuff. It'll say, you can use FS2024. I do use it for some. I used it for my virtual airline back in the day. I'll use it now and again. It's not required. I'm going to disable it for now. If you don't even know what this is, you probably don't have it. So just click disable it. Next step. And if you use an X-Plane, you would click on there, enable X-Plane support. That would be a different license. We're not using that one. So we can go past that if you're just using Flight Sim 2024. And that's it. And then you can apply settings. I've applied them already, so I'm just going to exit the wizard. At the top here, you would get one of these profiles. It'll ask you to create a profile. I can rename that profile, edit profile. Let's call it James, just for example. Profile 1 doesn't sound good. And whatever you save in there, you can then publish to other people. That'll be a more advanced thing for later on, but I'll just call it James. There you go. We'll call it that. Now, if you have, so you got past all that, very simple steps. If you have the Logitech Switch Panel, connect it to a USB port. Don't connect it directly to your Logitech yoke if you have that. That's one sure way of having dropouts and goodness knows what. So just connect it to a USB port. That's what I've done. You click on this panel here. You can see the panels. These are for controllers. These are for panels. So I'll just left click on that. And you can see a picture of my switch panel will come up. If I move the knobs, you'll see the knobs moving on screen. I won't show you this on camera because it's self-explanatory what's happening. I'm just moving all the knobs. I'll use this knob as well. So it'll just show you that it's all working. There's usually a test switch, a little test switch to begin with first, and it'll just light up all the lights as well. It's disappeared for me now, but when you first run it, you'll probably see a little test switch up here. Press it. All the little lights will light up on your switch panel. So, what do we do now? There's nothing assigned for it in Flight Sim 2024. I don't have the Logitech driver running in the background because it wasn't working for me properly on the switch panel anyway. But, in fact, we'll get into the sim later. I'm going to start assigning stuff. Now, you can do this manually if you know what you're doing. Probably the best thing to do to begin with, in my opinion, or my best advice, is to click on each of the knobs. So I'll click on landing gear first, and then go to online snippets. So click on landing gear. I'm going to go to online snippets, and you can choose a profile that somebody's already set up. By default, there you go. Default gear up and down. Remember, you want to be looking for SimConnect. X-Plane will be for X-Plane. This will be for another form of connection. You've got, and I don't want to overcomplicate things, but you've got things even for the Boeing aircraft, PMDG aircraft, things like that. Let's just go with the default gear up and down. It sounds good to me. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click OK. And there you go, gear up and down. Let's just go to the sim. Resume. Just going to test this. I'm going to move, I'll bring in the camera later, but I'm just going to move my gear up. And I'm going to move it down. That seems to work fine. So that's good. So far, we've got one set up. And that's exactly what you do for each of the switches. I want some lights lighting up when I move the gear up and down. I'm going to click on the... Each light is independent, by the way. I'll click on the... Is that the tail light? No, nose gear light. There we go. Clicks on the nose gear light. Same thing. Online snippets. And it's as simple as this to set up. Now I had to look at a couple of videos to find out what I was doing because all this interface changed, but it's not too dissimilar to what it used to be like. I believe the best one is the default center nose gear LED. So click on that, click on OK. So when it's up, it's off. When it's down, it's green. When it's changing position, it'll be red. Let's set them all up before I test it. Let's go to, and on my switch panel, it's gone green in front of me now. Let's go to my left gear LED, online snippets. I'm sure you're getting the knack of things now. Default LED gear, default LED, it's one of these. Let's go with this one here. And we'll click on OK. Might need to change that. Some of it is just a bit of trial and error with some of these. So I'll click on the right one, do the same thing, online snippets. And default, it looks like it's this one here, 96, yep. OK. Shall we go to the sim? I want to test this and I'll show you it all working later with a camera. But just bear with me, let's go to resume. I'm going to raise my gear. Now it's all showing green to me, it's not showing red. Could be because I don't have any avionics turned on. It's green because the gear, it's green because the gear is down. I'll get up in the air later and test this. So in front of me on my switch panel, it's all staying green because my actual physical gear is actually down. Until it's up, it won't change colour. That makes perfect sense. So there we go, we got them set up and we'll give them a test later. Let's go back to Spad. Just going to set up a couple more buttons, few more to get the avionics up and running and that type of thing, and then I'll set up the rest off camera and I'll show you it in action on my switch panel. It's fantastic, this program. Go to battery, nothing set up for that. Online snippet, same thing, and we're looking for sim connect default battery. Let's just see. That's the Comanche battery. I believe it'll just be SimConnect. Yep, SimConnect default battery master. Click on that. Click on OK. We'll do the alternator. Online snippets. And again, we are looking for SimConnect. So let's just try and find it. SimConnect default master alternator. There we go. Click on that, click on OK. I'm going to test this in a moment. There's different actions that will happen when you turn it on and off. And avionics master. Online snippets. So I'll just test these three up and then we'll test them in the sim. And then I'll show you them all working later with my camera. So sim connect, avionics master. Is there a default? Am I missing it? Default avionics master sim connect. There we go. That'll do. Okay, and effectively that should work with all different aircraft then. Let's just test this. So, battery. Yep, see that happening down here. Watch these. I'll turn on the alternator. Yep, that's fine. Turn on my avionics so all the screens should come on. That's absolutely working fine. And you can see the green light now. Now if I raise my landing gear, yep, I'm going to get that beeping because I'm on the ground. That is perfect. I'll get up in the air later and show you that working. But there you go, these are all working. I'll just turn all these buttons off, but using my switch panel. Absolutely fantastic. Tell you what, shall we do one more? Because there's one I'm wondering about, one I've not tried yet. And that'll be the master sort of gyro switch here. Magneto switch rather. Magneto starter. Let's go to online snippets. There should be a default one. Let's hope. If they're rated high, you'd know which one to get, basically. Now, let's just see. SimConnect. Cessna 182. I guess it's this one here, isn't it? There's a 172 there. And there's a 182. Shall we go with this one? If it doesn't work, it'll be trial and error. Let's take a look. Let's go back to the sim. I'm just going to push in the mixture. Crank my... Oh, not that. Oh. Hang on a second. There we go. crank my throttle, I'll use my physical throttle rather than... There we go. And we'll try the alternator. Let's just turn it to the left. The magneto. Ah. No, it's not working for me. Okay. There you go. Trial and error. So I got the wrong one. That's fine. So I guess this is good because it's going to show you... Yeah, that's 1-to-1 there, but it's not working for me here. Online snippets. Now, so that was the 182. Is there a default alternator? Let's just see. SimConnect, Cessna Magneto, Cub starter switch, default magneto starter switch. There we go. So I'm just going to click on there. If I click on OK here, it will ask me, do you want to replace all these? Yes, I do. Let's go back to the sim. Please work. So I'm just going to move it to the left. Watch the magneto switch here. Well, I've moved it to the right and it works absolutely fine. Where is the magneto switch? Is this... Pretty, yeah, it is there. That's what I was thinking. But if I move that to the left, it's not working. I might have to look back at that to see if I can get that working. As long as... Let me just show you something. I just go to restart. Just bear with me for a second. As long as I can start the engine with it, for now, that's all I need, because I'll keep it on both anyway. Oh, what's happening to the sky there? Shift and C to get in the aircraft. Get off. It's doing that quite a lot for me recently. Okay, so I'm just using, let's just turn on master battery and alternator. There we go, I've got the throttle cranked somewhat. Mixture fully rich. We're absolutely fine there. Landing gears down. Yeah, it's not moving when I move it left or right, so it might be a difference. If I move it left, it's not moving to the left, but if I move it right... Is it just not displayed in 2024 in this 2020 aircraft? Interesting, it might not be. If I come down here... No. Just don't think the magneto's actually showing... I've got a magneto on my honeycomb, that's why. Now, I'd have to disconnect my honeycomb yoke to probably show that. If I put it to off for now... Yeah, so I've got a magneto switch on my honeycomb yoke. I'll probably have to disconnect my honeycomb yoke for it to work. So if I move my switch to the left, it should move to the left. It will only do that on my honeycomb yoke. So let's just put it there, and let's just use my actual switch panel to get the engine started. That all works fine in a way. That explains a few things. So there's a couple of things to be aware of that. If you've got other controllers, if you've got a landing gear lever on a controller and it's down and you're trying to use your landing gear on your switch panel, you're going to either have to disable the landing gear on your other controller to use it on your switch panel, or keep it on your controller and don't use it on your switch panel. Same with the magneto there. I would have to disable it on my XPC yoke to get it working properly on my switch panel. It's all trial and error, but as you can see, it all works fine. Let me set up a few more of these switches off camera, and I'll show you them working in flight sim up in the air. And okay, just to be complete here before I do go for a flight test, I've set up all these other light switches here. You can see there, what's that? A landing light switch and goodness knows what. Let me just turn them off, in fact, because I do want to show you them in the sim. So if we go to the sim, even things like I've got set up, what's that? Engine cowl. So let me just double check. That is the correct one. Yes, the cowl switch. Engine cowl switch. There you go. So I've got a switch on the multi-panel, and I can open it or close it. Things like, let me just go outside the aircraft and show you this. I'll turn on, let's just show you beacon lights. So you see a beacon light at the back there. I'll turn on my nav lights, there you go, nav lights on. Turn on landing lights, there you go, landing lights on. And taxi lights, there you go, they're all on. I'll show you them working in the sim. So you can see down here, switches turning off and on. So you get the idea. So there you go. And for most of these, by the way, all I did was go to, let's just go to the engine cowl there. I went to online snippets and I just generally chose the defaults. I think this was a different one. Engine cowl, like I chose that one for there. Cowl flap corrected for MSFS. I won't redo it. For things like the landing lights, I just went to online snippets like I showed you before and just chose default. For now, that will do. So let's just see default landing. That's all I chose and it works fine in a sim. Let me get up in the air and I want to oops, I don't want to do that again. Let me get up in the air. I want to show you some of this stuff working with my camera so you can see me using it on my Switch panel. So there you go, in the sim proper, somewhere around the UK. Lots of people flying around. It's around the Midlands. Let me just get in the cockpit. Sorry if there's any stutter in the recording. I'm doing this with GeForce Experience now. I'll just bring in the camera. There you go. You can see my Switch panel, Logitech Switch panel. You can see I'm at the right speed, in fact. I've got my gear up. Let's put it down. Now you can see the red lights. These red lights will stay on until the gear is fully deployed. That's the nose gear. Those are the other gears. Let me show you from an external view. Let's put the gear up. It'll go red. You can see the gear going up. Once it's up, those lights will extinguish. I think that's a great feature. I mean, that's more to do with the Switch panel, but I programmed it using Spad. Put the gear down again. It'll go red until the gear comes fully down, and then it'll go green, all green. There you go. One more time, gear up. It's just something I like messing around with. Once it's fully up, that will extinguish. Let's just get in the cockpit there again. I've got my landing lights on. Show you that from the front of the aircraft. I can turn them on or off. Do I not have my strobe lights on? Taxi lights? Do I need even taxi lights on at the moment? There you go, I've got the rest of the lights on. Landing light, I guess it's getting a bit dark, isn't it? Back in the cockpit again. Turn all the battery, alternator, avionics. You can see my screen's gone dead now. Turn them all back on, screen comes back alive. I'm going to have to reconfigure my autopilot. There you go, the Switch panel is fully working now, thanks to Spad.neXt. Now, do I recommend Spad.neXt? Absolutely. Let me just turn that landing light off, it's a bit bright. Absolutely. If you got things like the Switch panel, Logitech flight instrument panels, I'll link a video down below I did of them. You can have different displays of them. Radio panel, you can do a whole lot more with. I want to come back with a more advanced video and even perhaps try and program one or two switches myself. I think that will make for an interesting video. Nothing to lose. You've got a 14-day trial. If you don't want to use it afterwards, if you don't have things like switch panels, if you don't have switch panels but you've got other controllers, you can set up buttons and events for them as well. You can save profile, you can do all kinds of things with Spad.neXt, and I think I'm going to leave that for a future video. This is more like an introduction video, and I absolutely fully recommend it. I fully recommend that you go out and buy it, in fact, so that you've always got it, particularly if you're using a lot of different peripherals. You can do wonders with them. Anyway, do let me know your thoughts. Give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon.